And welcome back to another D-Vlog interviews. And I am here with Marco from the incredible band The Haunted, who have brought us their album Songs of Last Resort, and it's out on Century Media on the 30th of May. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
Awesome. First of all, can I just say thank you for this album, because it's so good to hear a proper heavy metal album. No cause, no fusion or weirdness. This is a heavy metal album for heavy metalers. It's feral. It's so fast and ferocious. Was that a result of it being your first album in 8 years? Is that you were kind of chomping at the bit to come out with this fierce album?
No, that's the only conscious thought that we had going into this album, because the thing is that it's been 8 years. You had the pandemic and blah blah blah, and we have this thing in our band because we don't live in the same city, none of us. So Adrian, he lives in London, and we all live it's just me and Ola that live in Stockholm. Everybody else lives a few hours away. So we're not like a rehearsing band anymore that we meet like 2 times a week in a rehearsal room or anything. So the only time we get together is when we're doing shows.
Right.
And every time when we get together to do a show, we always talking about the album. And we've been doing it for 8 years, and it always everybody gets all excited. Yeah, let's do the album. And give it 2-3 weeks and it just fizzles out. And but this time around, you had the pandemic and everything, and we all have families and jobs and stuff, so it was hard to fit it into a schedule. And then we met up. We were supposed to do the Sweden Rock Festival, and that's when Jensen he just grabbed everybody else by the collar and said, okay, enough with the bullshit, let's make the album.
Absolutely.
We had a Dropbox with 8 years worth of songs.
Wow.
But none of them were used. None of them were used for this album.
Oh wow.
The whole new album was written in a few months.
Right.
Then the demoing stage started.
Probably what gives it that really fresh sound, It's so in your face,
Yeah, and that's the thing, that was the only idea that we had. Let's make it an aggressive one, not we didn't talk about a theme or anything. We were just talking about, let's take the old Haunted sound and just turn it up to 11.
Absolutely. And that you've done. Adrian sounds particularly savage on this record. The drums sound amazing. And there's some very surprising time signatures in here. Kind of swung beats and things like that. Is that a new thing, or is he a tricksy drummer like that?
I think that what made Adrian blossom on this album is actually that he recorded with Oscar Nilsson, who is also a very accomplished drummer. And he's the one that recorded the whole album. And he was encouraging and pushing Adrian to do stuff, as well as when I worked with a new vocal producer on this album, and he pushed me as well to produce the results when I was this is a good take. And he's like, oh, no, man, we're not even close.
I was going to guess.
I guess that's the whole thing with Adrian as well, that Oscar himself being accomplished drummer.
Yeah.
But maybe try this or try that and blah, blah, blah. So I guess this time around it was a healthy environment for all members of the band, because we found the right people. Even though we haven't had the wrong people before, but for this album and this sound, we found the right people.
And one of those right people that I've read was you had Bjorn from Soilwork in your corner. And the analogy I like to think is like a boxer going in the ring, he's got his guy in the corner.
No, but the thing is that me and Bjorn, we've been friends for a long, long time, but we've never worked together. And my vocal producer is my old vocal producer was a guy called Jocke from Clawfinger.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, and he's been doing my vocals for like 15, 20 years in different constellations that I've been in. And he decided to move to the up north of Sweden, which is like a 12-hour drive
Right.
just to get to him. So we tried a few avenues just to get it to work, but it was too much of a hassle. And then Jensen called me and asked, so what about your friend Björn? Give Björn a call and see if he can do it. And I called Björn, and as I said, we've been friends for a long time, but we never worked together. And it was because Björn doesn't let me get away with stuff. Because even though we've never worked together and we have a mutual respect and everything, but our friendship has been drinking beers and meeting up at festivals and stuff. But this time around, I got to see his work ethic, and it speared on to me as well. Because when I get lazy and I think that my idea is the best idea and it's a good take, let's leave it at that. And he's just like, no, man, you can do it a lot better than that. And the thing is that with Björn, when I write lyrics and vocal melodies, I think rhythm because I'm an old drummer.
Mm-hmm.
And he's a vocalist and a guitar player. And he thinks melodies. So when I get stuck in my sometimes stupid ways, when I think, okay, this is the best I can do, let's leave it and move on. And he's like, no, man, just give this one a try. And he comes up with an idea, and we start from there. And all of a sudden, it just took the song into a different direction.
Absolutely. And from everybody I know that's heard it, they've all said that the vocals are so strong as a result, which is awesome. It's awesome. So this album has an anti-war message, I understand. Is that a message for the running through it, or is that just a couple of songs?
No, it's just the thing is that when we set out to write lyrics, it's me, Jensen, and Ola that wrote the lyrics and co-wrote the lyrics. When we did set off in our different places to start writing lyrics, it became pretty obvious to us that we were all writing about the same thing.
Yeah.
And because The Haunted has never been a political band, nor will it ever be, but it's hard to ignore the absolute shit show that we're living in right now.
Of course.
So I guess we were all thinking the same, and it became the unconscious theme, even though it wasn't supposed to be a theme, but it became the theme. So, but we didn't set out for it to be that way. It just turned out that way, and we're happy about it now because it's easy for someone contemporary to relate to.
Absolutely.
Because everybody's looking at it. Open the window, there it is. Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely. I understand you saw some letters from our own Prime Minister.
That's actually Jensen's idea.
Was it Jensen?
He nerds himself with stuff like this. He takes pride in knowledge of these things. I didn't actually know that there were those 4 identical letters that every prime minister has to write when he gets into office. And I found it really, really fascinating. It's really fascinating. And it's an old tradition that still goes on.
Yeah.
It's really, really cool.
Yeah, so it's basically a letter that just says this is what I want you to do if the shit is the fan.
Yeah. It's morbid, but it's also necessary.
Absolutely, I understand. Absolutely. So, how's the band feeling at the moment? Because as I understood it, I think Ola said on his YouTube show that you were only really doing festival shows for a bit. Are you gearing up for getting back touring, like in venues?
The thing about The Haunted nowadays is that we're old farts. And the whole crazy touring thing is pretty much done for us because we have jobs and families and stuff. But if something comes along that really makes sense, we most definitely will look at it. But the thing is that when we decided to do this again in 2013, we decided on quality before quantity.
Of course.
So if we were to hook up on a tour with, like, say, some big name or something, we would like to pick and choose which leg of the tour that we want to do. Because the crazy touring, we did that when we were in our 20s, and it takes a strain on you. And for myself, I swallowed the whole rock and roll lifestyle hook, line, and sinker. So that's why I left the band, because I had to get sober.
Yeah.
So I drink alcohol again, but it took me like 3 or 4 years just to get rid of the other substances that I enjoyed.
Absolutely.
So, so that's why I left the band, and I don't want to put anyone in my proximity through that again.
Absolutely.
So that's why I don't feel too keen about touring again, because even though I trust myself, you can never really trust yourself.
I totally understand. I'm sober myself. Okay. I totally relate. But talking of quality over quantity, I noticed when you come to the UK, you're going to be playing at our Damnation Festival here in the UK.
Yeah, that's the only UK date that we have this year, because we missed out on the whole festival season.
Yeah,
because the album is really, they booked their shows like lights out, festival's over, and they got the whole thing booked for next year already.
I know.
So we missed out on that one. So hopefully we get to do a lot more festivals next year. So Damnation is the only UK show that we have as of now.
Yeah. Well, it's an absolutely...
offers are still coming in, and if there's something that feels really exciting or it makes sense, we'll probably do it. But for the time being, it's just Damnation.
Well, it's a hell of a bill. It's stacked. It looks amazing. So looking forward to seeing you there. Obviously, there is a member of your band that's a YouTube sensation.
Yeah.
And I see him most Sundays. Yeah. How is that with Ola now suddenly like this big YouTube star? Because that's probably happened in the last 8 years, hasn't it?
Yeah, I guess the pandemic helped him a lot with because people was just staying home and watching. But I've always felt that Ola didn't join the Haunted. The Haunted joined Ola.
Nice.
Because he was a big star back then already. So with him in the band, I believe that we gained a lot of the younger audience that we would probably never have reached unless we had Ola in the band. So he's also a very great guy.
Yeah,
because you have to have that chemistry as well.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a ton of good guitarists, probably someone even better than Ola, but nobody is a better person than him.
Yeah. Yeah, and you could tell you can hear his playing even when he's just doing rhythm.
Yeah.
And I think it's because we're so used to hearing his playing on the YouTube that you can pick it out.
Yeah. And the thing is, the riff brain that he has, because he has to come up with a riff almost every day.
Yeah.
Almost every day, and they're all good.
Yeah.
He doesn't have a shitty riff. And he still finds time and energy to write songs for the Haunted as well.
Yeah. Quite incredible. And another legendary character on this album, Jensen Borgen. Now, anybody who knows anything about studio engineering has heard that name at some point. He mixed and mastered the album, and you can hear the quality in there. Some of people have said this is the best sounding Haunted album, like sonically, in years.
Yeah, that's probably because the route that we used to take was we decided on a studio and a producer and a mixer would all be the same guy. But this time around, Oscar recorded it, and then we decided to send out five different mixers to see, just out of curiosity as well, if we send it to like a modern, contemporary, modern mixer, see what he can do with it. If it's the younger sound that we're after, or blah blah blah. And it ended up with Jens. It was a tight struggle between him and Oscar. I'd say there was almost no difference at all. They both got the message. The other ones were good, really, really good, but not The Haunted.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah. It sounds amazing. It sounds massive, which is
great. But the thing about Jens also, you don't really have to explain to him what you're after. Jensen spent a lot of time, and Ola as well, in the mixing studio with Jens. But there was like a few pointers, but even though we gave him a small pointer, he got it immediately and just got it where it needed to be.
So for yourself at the moment, what's on your playlist? What are you listening to at the moment?
It's not metal. I can tell you that. Yeah. The only time that I really listen to metal, and I usually listen to like old metal, is when I'm in front of the computer drinking beer and remembering stuff. Right. That's when you get to like Sepultura and all those stuff. But a band that has a new band that has really amazed me. And it's not really metal. It's hard to decide what genre it is, but it's a band called Sleep Token.
Sleep Token.
I really like that because they're brave. They're really brave in their music writing and talented as well. So
Absolutely.
I really like them. And that's also, Bessel has he has a genius in his poetry, which I really like, because he can string words together that it just makes sense immediately and it hits you in the heart.
Definitely. My editor will be very happy you said that. She's a she's a massive Sleep Token fan. Yeah. and so I reviewed that new album. It was great.
It is great, and it's different. Sometimes when you have to be like a critic, you can tell that sometimes it sounds like, oh man, I've heard this before, but I've heard this on Take Me Back to Eden or something like that, the whole song structure, but there's always a thought behind it. He doesn't repeat himself accidentally.
No.
There's always a thought behind it. And that's really exciting.
So with that in mind, my final question that I've been asking everybody I've interviewed this year, from the Melvins to Dave Lombardo to everyone, is, if the Education Board of Sweden came to you and said, you have to pick a song that we can put on the national curriculum that every child has to hear before they're 18, any genre, any style, what do you think is an important song for a kid that's approaching the age of 18 to hear?
Oh, a song by Testament called Practice What You Preach.
Amazing. Yes.
Because that, I don't think the lyrical content, but the title, Practice What You Preach.
Amen to that. Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's amazing. Thank you so much for being with me today.
Thank you as well for taking the time with me.
Amazing. And good luck with everything. And it's a ripper of an album. And everyone out there, go check it out.
Yeah. And you have a great weekend as well.
You too. See you later, mate.